And Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam gazes at the tree. Is yaghsha sidrata ma yaghsha in Surah An-Najm. The tree is shrouded with what it is shrouded. And Allah uses a tree to deliver signs of things which are to come. And Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, when he is gazing at the tree, ma zagha al-basar wa ma tagha. His gaze, meaning with the internal eye, does not waver, nor does it tire. But Musa alayhi salam, when he asks, Arini anzur ilayk, show me yourself, I want to see you. And Allah says, Lan tarani, not possible, tabuli, you can't see me. But look at the rock. And Allah directed His divine tajalli, I can't translate that word, to the rock. And the rock exploded. And Musa alayhi salam fell down unconscious. But Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, with a similar experience, mazag al-basar, his gaze did not waver. What did he see while gazing at that tree which was shrouded ma yaghsha, with what it was shrouded? We'll come to that a little later. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala greets His messenger, Muhammad alayhi salam. التحيات لله والصلوات والطيبات السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. A conversation between the Lord who is worshipped and the one who is worshipping the servant. And this part of Isra Miraj is made a part of our Salat. And Nabi Muhammad ﷺ returned to say to us that while we cannot do what he did, no, that was a unique event, we are also capable of our Miraj, meaning our capacity to penetrate and to experience directly the unseen world. Our Miraj. When he said, As-salatu mi'rajul mu'min, that salat is the vehicle through which a believer can experience the unseen world, the samawat. Now, he then returned. No, sorry, we forgot one thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala greets His messenger and gives him something to take back. Not one, two. He's given salat. The 5 daily salat. Prior to this, for 10 years, or maybe 11 years, salat has been performed by the Prophet ﷺ and those who accepted him and accepted Islam in only 2 rakat at a time, and at periodic intervals. But now salat becomes 5 times a day. And he returns with this gift of salat. There is a hadith about Musa alayhi salam and 50 and 40 and 30 and 20. We need not speak about that at this time. But he's also given something else. The last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah is revealed in the Isra Miraj. All the rest of the Quran is revealed here. Why should the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah reveal over there? It's a subject you might want to study yourself. He then returns and he announces to the people, this is what happened. And it became a fitna, a test and a trial for the people. And there were Muslims who left Islam because of this. There were Muslims who left Islam because the Prophet said, last night I went to Jerusalem and I came back. And it was not a dream, because even I can go to the moon and come back. Huh? Haji Radwan could go to the sun and come back. In a dream. So this was not a dream. He said, I went to Jerusalem and came back last night. And many Muslims left Islam because of this. And there's something coming tomorrow, when, as we anticipate, Egypt holds its elections. And the Egyptian armed forces function as suspiciously docile as they function in response to the uprisings that removed Hosni Mubarak. We want to say to the Egyptian armed forces, all of us are not blind. Oh no. And when the elections are held in Egypt, predictably the Ikhwan is going to sweep the polls. And you're going to have an Islamic government in Egypt. You're going to hear the drum beating. Oh yes, you're going to hear the drum beating from those who see with only one eye. And then the Western world is going to say, well, what about Sharia? Huh? You know how they speak about people, they say, you guys. We don't use that language. You guys have been saying for so long, you want Sharia. Well, go ahead and enforce your Sharia now. Come on, what are you not waiting on? And then the Islamic government in Egypt announces, Sharia is now enforced in Egypt. That's what they're waiting for. And then the test will come. When a parent of a 6-year-old girl, Egyptian girl, said, no, 6-year-old child, rather, girl child, comes to the court for permission for a marriage certificate with a man who is 55 years of age, and asks for the marriage certificate. Of course, CNN has to be there, and Al Jazeera has to be there, the New York Times has to be there, the Washington Post has to be there. The whole world is going to be watching that. And because of an incapacity to recognize that the Quran is the supreme authority in Islam, and the Quran sits in judgment over the hadith and not vice versa. And in the same way that there was corruption of preceding scriptures, like the Kaaba was there and they took it out, so too you cannot corrupt the Quran, but you could fabricate a hadith. Oh yes, you can. So because of an incapacity to recognize the authority of the Quran and the status of the Quran sitting in judgment over the hadith, and therefore to be able to recognize inconsistency between hadith and Quran, I expect the Egyptian court to say yes, permissible. We just gave a lecture in Indonesia at an institution of Islamic learning, with 200 students present. And at the end of the lecture we had lunch with the head of the institution. And the head of the institution had no problem saying to me, Jais, permissible. Now the Australian government made it a law in Australia that if an Australian goes abroad and has sexual relations with a child, he can be arrested in Australia for a crime committed outside of Australia. But now, it's not a crime anymore. You can just come over to the world of Islam, wherever the Sharia is enforced, and you can marry a 5-year-old girl. And you can marry a 6-year-old girl, and you can take her home with you. She is your wife. No one is there to come into the home to see what you're doing with her. This is the shame, and this is the disgrace that is coming tomorrow. Because Nabi Muhammad ﷺ never married Aisha radiallahu ta'ala. No marriage certificate, no marriage ceremony ever took place. Never. What happened? And it's there in the seerah. What happened is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated that He had chosen her for him as his wife. So he had no choice in the matter. He never married her. She had no choice in the matter. A marriage ceremony is not valid if a girl has no choice in the matter. He never married her. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could have sent that communication when she was 1 year old. Not 6, 1. He could have sent down that communication when she was 1 month old. Because He is the Creator. But it is unlawful, it is haram to have sexual relations with a girl before she reaches to being a woman. And that can be established from the Quran. If it is haram to have sexual relations with a girl before she becomes a woman, how can you marry her before she has become a woman? Tomorrow it's coming to Egypt. And when it is broadcast all over the world on every television channel, Muslims are going to hang their heads in shame. They're going to feel as though they're the laughing stock of the world. And many Muslims are going to leave Islam tomorrow. So when the communication came, Aisha simply had to remain in her parents' home until she became a woman. And when she became a woman, she then went to the household of her husband. Is there anything wrong with that? Before this strange civilization came, all through the world, girls were married shortly after they became women. And what age did Maryam have? Alayha salam. What was her age when the angel came to her and said, you're going to have a baby boy? And she asked, how can I have a baby boy when no man has ever touched me? She had just become a woman. That was the age. And so, we are now approaching a moment, and this is only one, the marriage of a 6-year-old. There are others. There are other time bombs waiting to explode, but we do not have the time tonight. There were those who left Islam when he said, I went to Jerusalem last night and came back. And then they challenged him. If you went to Jerusalem, come on, describe it to us. And Allah had Jerusalem held before his eyes. And he was able to describe Jerusalem while looking at it. It took me too much time to do part 1. So I have less time now to do part 2 and 3 and 4. So I'm going to have to shorten it. When did this happen? It's a pity for me to have to make it so brief now. When did this happen? That was a moment for him when it happened, of grief, as this is a moment of grief for us, when our people are being slaughtered. For 10 years he had preached Islam. And after 10 years there were only a handful of Muslims. For 10 years he was protected by his tribe, Banu Hashim. His uncle was the head of the tribe.